Now, I guess the next point I come to is that how how do you tell like people in a young part of a relationship that the challenges that they come up against are not insurmountable, that if you can find a path of communication with your significant other, there's ways of talking through these things, of compromising. So I don't know, when I was young and I was married, everything seemed so insurmountable.
I think that the biggest news to me in the relationship world is that if once upon a time we used to speak about the idea that what we loved in our young years or in our honeymoon years, we end up hating in later years when we are coming closer to when we separate and divorce. Today we understand that every trait has two ends to it. It's a spectrum. So if let's say you fell in love for the spontaneity of somebody,
Right.
but you didn't take into consideration that with their spontaneity on the other end of that spectrum is impulsiveness. And at some point it will reveal to you.
Yeah.
And it will reveal to you when you get off um
The
the
honeymoon phase.
the honeymoon phase, basically. Exactly. And that's when when your love will start taking a test on
Right.
how much you really love each other. Do
Yeah.
you really love each other for only the good points, or are you willing to accept your partner for who they are? Now, it doesn't mean that everything needs to be accepted.
Yes, it
We need to
can.
also learn to be able to say, I did fall in love with your spontaneity. I did realize that the impulsiveness is the other end of it. Can we learn to balance those traits so that they can be workable for us? So it's a very different way of saying it than, you know what, I realize that you're an impulsive person and therefore now I really dislike you
Oh, I can't live with that.
and I can't live with that. Exactly.
Right.
It's like you emphasize the good part, you identify the less convenient part,
Right.
and you learn to work with it in a way that will accommodate both of you.
Yeah.
This is something we didn't know back in the past, and now we do. We have we you know the information is so out there. There's so much good information of understanding relationships, of learning about relationships.
Yeah.
We jump into conclusions of like I am me and you're you, and obviously we didn't realize certain things about each other, so let's separate. No,
Yeah.
it's okay. We didn't realize certain things, but there was good chemistry, and even if life kind of tricked us into getting into a relationship that seems now very incompatible, let's see if that compatibility can actually, or like if our love is strong enough to overcome the lack of compatibility and build a higher level of compatibility.
I must say though, I've learned through time in life that there are some issues that get to the point where neither party can compromise. It's like either there's like a
Right.
complete blind spot on what,
Right.
and the and you just it's not workable. But
I think that it's that, we spoke about it in other occasions when we understood that, we were saying it's some situation that we're
mhm,
not only here. At some point, we understand
yeah,
that we're not only here to accommodate our bodies and to feed our bodies. We're here to feed our souls also,
yeah,
and our soul is demanding to grow.
yeah,
And when we don't feed ourselves and the relationship on a
yeah,
soulful level,
right,
on a values level, on intellectual levels, on
mm,
emotional levels, and spiritual levels, those are all soul issues. And
mm,
when we don't feed those parts of the relationship, it dies. So we need
yeah,
to be very aware of that. Now, a part of feeding the soul of the relationship
Yeah.
is understanding that we have to do something valuable in the world together. That the reason that God tricked us into this relationship
Yeah.
is because my spectrum of my trait, or
Yeah.
the spectrum of your traits together with my traits, so nice, it started raining. Um, your traits together with my traits is bringing a new spiritual entity into the world. Not just that our traits will be a new spiritual entity in the world, but our capacity of tolerating each other, so to speak, will give birth to a new level of, or like a new, like spirituality cannot just be a word. Spirituality cannot just be a term, something that surreal
Hypothetical.
hypothetical,
Right.
exactly,
Or
or
metaphorical.
metaphorical. It
No,
has to come into the
it had to be
world.
a reality.
So when we're struggling between your traits and my traits,
Yeah.
we're bringing this new spiritual concept into the world, which is in the form or in the tolerance of each other. Not just in the tolerance, but in the actual love that we will be able to give to each other in spite of our differences. That is to bring God into earth, into our
Miriam.
level,
So
into our
often
world.
we allow that to die, or we allow it to lessen in importance, and it's really like a pillar.
Right,
So you've knocked one pillar over in the relationship, and it's like an empty hole.
right,
It's
right. It's like to revive the relationship or to let it die. It all stands on the idea of how much we're going to learn to both improve ourselves and to give respect to the idea that you are you and I am me. And we're going to learn to combine those two things, just like, like we're not only going to make love to our bodies, we're also going to let our souls make love to each other.
wow. The truth is that uh, I, in my relationship, I continue to try to develop spiritually, and my significant other decided he didn't want to do it anymore. And really, that was really
But
the
then
issue.
life took him to the next level of developing himself in other circumstances. And in the end, even though you're not together, you're also developing in the new circumstances that formed in your life.
Very
And
much
that is the
so.
idea that we're either, it says we're either going to operate on fear or operate on love.
Yeah,
We're going to operate on sadness or operate on joy.
yeah.
We're going to do our work in the world um, by being kind of like stuck to the wall with a gun to our head, or we're going to choose to do it from love.
Very much. And the times when we just stop and we realize that, wow, we're going to have to incorporate some soul work is when the relationship is refreshed.
Right, right,
It's refreshed.
right. And then the new vitality comes into the relationship. And now there could be tremendous gaps between one level and the other. It's like
Yeah,
giving birth to a new something. It's very painful, but
yeah,
every time you do that, God willing, it doesn't always come to reality.
yeah.
But we're praying and we're trying to make it in that way that every time we actually achieve that, we are actually feeling reborn, spiritually reborn, mentally reborn, and our love is being reborn.
Wow, you learn so much from your relationships, really. But we forget these things. We forget to think about the relationship on different levels. We just forget about it. We get stuck in our routines. We go to work, home.
Right.
We
As
don't.
if our career is going to be the only thing that will make us happy, as if the millions of dollars that we will make will will be the only thing that makes us happy. And in the end, we, lose our significant one, and we get into this chronic fatigue because we're so depressed, and or into anxiety attacks or whatever. We lose our love, we lose our money, we lose everything, right? So what's the point? Maybe we're going to finally understand that nourishing our love life and nourishing our relationships and nourishing our own soul
Yeah.
is going to be the thing that will either stand in the way of our even money making, or will be the thing that will actually make us thrive on all levels.
Amen. Amen. It's really raining now.
I know, but somehow it's really a miracle. We're sitting in the dry. Anyway, good to see everybody. I think we're going to go inside and have a wonderful evening. And
Oh,
I hope
I
we
hope
were
it's
useful
helpful.
and helpful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I bless you to find a way back into each other's hearts
Amen.
and to grow for all of us to grow spiritually and mentally and emotionally. And all the best. See you
Oh,
next time.
oh, and press the subscribe button
Yeah. And share it to your friends.
and share
And
it
give
with
us a thumb up. It makes us feel good. Take care.
us. Okay.